What's up guys, Roddy here, and today we're talking about this guy. 1 month with the brand new Galaxy Z Fold 6. Let's go. Hey guys, in true form and fashion, if you've not done so already, make sure you jump down there, hit that subscribe button, and today we're talking about Z Fold 6. A phone I was very critical of, a phone that I talked about that these changes weren't enough, then Samsung raised the price on it, so we're gonna get right into it. It's a folding phone, so that means it's gonna be a little bit longer, so buckle up, strap in, and let's go ahead and talk about this thing. First things first is design, because that is where they changed probably the most about this phone this year. The hinge has been more recessed in. Apparently we have a newer hinge now, and we have a more squared boxy design. I want to show you this next to this guy, S24 Ultra. So I'm trying to not get that glare in there so much so you can kind of see how similar these two phones are. So they've got that kind of brand identity now. They've got that kind of more rectangular, longer look, and I'm here for it. They squared off the sides now. Instead of having round on one side and squared on the other like most folding phones do, they just squared it off, and I think it looks really good. I think that personally, in my opinion, it feels and looks a lot more nicer, a lot more premium than the phones of the past, the folds of the past. I think that this is a great design, and I really enjoy using it. I enjoy looking at it. I enjoy picking it up. It kind of just begs for you to want to use it, especially that outer display. It really calls for it now because it does. It looks a lot nicer. They grew it by 1 millimeter. Doesn't sound like a lot, but most phones are only separated in screen width by a few millimeters. There's not a huge difference between them. Here, what's so good about it is they've made these bezels super thin, and they made the side rails also thinner, so you don't have a big bulky side rail or a rounded side rail that gives you an extra 1/3 of a millimeter. And I know we're just talking really thin margins here, but all of that to say, combined, you do feel like this is a more usable outer display. I still think they could have went like 1 more millimeter. Instead of doing 1, they could have went 2, and they would have been at a great sweet spot. But it has grown. It does look better. I think it is the most premium looking and feeling foldable that you can get. One of the big reasons is you've got matte side rails all the way around. That really helped it. That squared off look also gives it a very unique premium look and feel to it. So overall, I think they did a good job. We still have the same cameras as last year. We'll talk about that performance later on, but they did put these little nice accented rings around it to help kind of make it look bigger and to kind of fill up the space more. I'm still not a fan of cameras being shoved into a corner, especially if you rock this naked without a case. It does rock. As you can see, I've got a case that has the S Pen in it, which creates a little bit of a bump, and you've got a little bit of a bump there. Why Samsung can't give us just enough space to put all this in there, and maybe a little bit bigger battery, because you're only rocking a 4400 milliamp battery in this, and we'll talk to that on performance. Opening this up though, again, it does look really nice. That squared off look continues over here, talking about how nice it looks. We still have a noticeable crease here. It's definitely gets less and less every year. But like another reviewer said, I mean, Samsung's had 6 years to get rid of this crease. OnePlus came out with their phone and there's nearly 0 crease there. I mean, you almost can't see or feel it unless you're really trying here. On this phone, it's still there. You can still kind of feel it and touch it and see it. I think a lot of that attributes to why it's such a distraction and why so many people don't like it is because this inner display on this device is very glossy. And it is a fingerprint magnet. I've had times where I've gone to show people what's on the screen, because that's what I have it for, is this big open screen to show people stuff and to use it and see better. And they'd go, your screen is so glossy, man, I can't hardly see what's on there. So viewing this in direct sunlight also becomes a chore again. These are great screens, 120 hertz refresh rate. Samsung makes some of the best in the business. I just really feel like that they're 6 years in. They have to give us some better technology here. I think we could have some better hardware with these screens. I think we could they could have went ahead and given us titanium. They could have went ahead and tried to work something out. Even if they had to grow this a little bit to give us premium cameras, we're ready for some real upgrades here. And especially whenever you are now charging right at the threshold of $2,000 for this device, and that's the base model. That's the 256. You really have to wonder like what Samsung is thinking. Again, very easy to hold with this smaller screen, but probably one of everybody's biggest complaints is holding this and using this smaller outer display. I like it. It does make it more functional in and out of a pocket, a bag, whatever, trying to find somewhere to set it. It's really cool on like wireless chargers, and I use a lot of those, and it does have wireless charging, unlike the OnePlus. But like if you set it on there, it magically like fits perfect. It doesn't have any overhang, so you're not trying to figure out exactly where the spot is. Just lay it down, it fits there, or if it's one that stands up, that thinness just fits perfect. It's really neat. But again, we're getting a lot of complaints about this. Samsung's got to address it. Their button placement is good though, give them that. But yeah, I mean, it just overall, this hardware it looks and feels really good, even though it's not much different than last year outside of the more flat, squared off design. And opening the screen again, it's a little too glossy. You still got a crease, you can still see it. Even though it's very symmetrical bezels, very small bezels, that squared off look does look premium. You've just got some stuff here that doesn't feel like a $2,000 phone. I'm going to call it that because we're at 1901 or $1,909, whatever it is.
Over $1,300,000,000,300,000,000.
Moving on from that, we will talk about performance because that's where it does get a lot better with this device. Samsung has polished this folding phone ecosystem. You've got a outer display that is its own kind of thing. This is its own phone. And when you open this up, you have a different phone or tablet or device. So it's like having two in one. This acts as your typical scrolling, 16:9, long aspect ratio, normal phone stuff like this. And when you open it, you're getting this really awesome display here that I'll open up some apps just to kind of show you what you're getting when it comes to this phone and this device and how it works and how you interact with it. Lots of AI here. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't really use any of it. I know a lot of people like it. You've got circle to search, and you've got tap to talk, and you've got all these little fancy little features and this, that, and the other. But ultimately, it really boils down to the in-house experience of having this phone and having this device and it being able to do this right here. Being able to be that tablet, being able to make these apps, force them into this wide open screen, have this dock along the bottom, have a lot more than just 4 little bitty apps down there. Shrink it, hide it, gain more space, keep it, multitask, all of it's there. I love the way Samsung does their multitasking. You drag it, put it on one side, you drag it, put it on the other side, you drag it, and you put it on the bottom. And you can move those around, and you can reshape. You can have one wider and one skinnier or whatever. But it's all on this screen. It's not going off on another screen. It's not just 2 apps. It's not just dividing the screen up. It's actually functioning more like a multi-purpose tool, more like a tablet, versus some hybrid version of that. Like I said, this inner display, you're doing your own thing here. You close it, you can continue a app on the outside, but it goes back into that normal regular phone. It's just a little thinner. For me, that's really great. And also you notice that polish in how it does that and how it makes everything wider, how it reacts to apps that are used to being in a normal phone shape and blowing them up into this shape. they've gotten way better, and Samsung software has definitely made it so that they're better. Even things like turning the aspect ratio of the phone and just how well it does that, how there's no hiccups there, how the widgets adjust, how the apps adjust. And it has gotten more square because it's gotten wider, but it's still not 100% square. So just being able to know what to do and how to do that, and things not getting lost and things not freaking out. I mean, this is a perfect example. You can see my calendar here, and when I turn it, it elongates and it doesn't hesitate. So really impressed with the performance of the software, how well that works. Kind of transitioned from you know, design over to performance, but it's really impressive. What's not impressive are the other two things that we have to talk about. What I just talked about with how good the software is and how it interacts and how it works together, how the apps seem to just be more and more twined with this foldable experience, and it being better on a Samsung than it is on any other device that folds, is kind of taken back by your battery and your cameras. I'm going to talk about cameras first, because these cameras are basically the same exact cameras that you get on a regular S24. They're almost identical to the Fold 5 cameras. They are just not your S24 Ultra cameras. They're just not. And they perform like they're not. While S24, just the regular one, those cameras seem to outperform what their specs were. On the Fold, this just feels like mediocre cameras. I'm just gonna say it. Samsung's gotten a lot better with their processing and taking pictures, but you really still have to try hard to work at getting very good photos out of this. I find myself most of the time shooting with Expert RAW that I had to download from the Samsung store so I would have it. It's not out of the box. So if you're wondering what that is and how you use it, you got to go to their app store and download it. It is a Samsung app. It's just not included on the phone. If you're using the regular shooter in the 12 megapixel mode, you're going to get just not good photos. If you're trying to use this thing as a selfie camera and you're trying to hold it and view yourself and do some videos and stuff like that, it's cool that you have that option, but unless you've got some lighting and some good stuff going on to get you some lighting. But I ran into a lot of issues where it was decent. I did have to shoot it at its highest max capacity that it could do it at. But it's the same old story that I've had with Samsung for a while, is you really have to work it. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's definitely a lot more consistent. I would definitely give them the edge here when it comes to this or the OnePlus, because I got a lot more consistency out of here. It doesn't have the capabilities that OnePlus has, but when it comes to consistency, I felt like I could trust this more, even though I lost some of the capabilities to do what the OnePlus would do. With Pixel in mind, again, that new camera that they're putting on the Fold is not what you're getting on the Pro cameras. Still better, but inconsistent. So consistency, Samsung's really gotten it really good at it. Their processing has gotten way better. And like I said, throwing in Expert RAW, you really get a lot more flatter image than some kind of like overexposed or overproduced edited looking photo. So I like that. I've got that option. However, again, you're still having to jump through some hoops to get decent photo quality out of here. Same with video. There's times where it's really good. There's times where it's not enough light. It's really bad. So that being said, the last thing we'll talk about is probably the worst thing about this device, and that is the battery. Now for me, I'm a power user. I use my phone all the time. I use it for work, I use it for play. I am doing a ton of research. I really like opening this and having multiple apps open at one time. It's just how I perform, it's how I go about my day. It's if I'm gonna be on my phone, that's usually how I'm in it. If I'm not on my phone, I'm like standing in line, or I'm just wanting to do a quick search or send a quick text or something, I've got this. If you're one of those people that you're okay with that, and you're okay with this because it's easy to hold in one hand and slipping out of the pocket, you like all the software that comes with this phone, you will get decent battery. But if you're somebody like me who most of the day I've got this open like this, you're going to get not so good battery. I'm ending each day usually around 20 to 14, 13, 12%, somewhere in there. And I know those are weird numbers, but I feel like I see that number 14 a lot when I'm going to bed, sometimes 12, sometimes 13. But for me, it is not a 2-day battery phone. And also, it's not a heavy usage phone. It's not a phone that if I know I'm not going to be near a charger and I've got a long day and I know I'm going to be taking lots of pictures and videos and stuff like that with this to capture, like I'm at an event or something fun or whatever on vacation, and I know I'm going to be gone all day and all this stuff's going on. I've got it connected to a smartwatch. I'm tracking my health. I've got always on display. I'm doing all these things. I don't feel confident in the battery life of this device. And after 6 years of having that same issue, I think that Samsung owes us an apology, especially because now they're charging us $1,900 for a phone that is getting outsmarted in battery, in cameras, and in design by a phone that just came out last year. And I know it's really the 3rd generation because Oppo's had that OnePlus. It's been the same thing, but just saying, most people aren't going to know that until look at it. It's just like, hey, Samsung, you got to step up. I made a comment on Twitter saying that this was not enough. And I still bought one of these because I just thought it looked so damn good. And it does. It looks and feels fantastic. However, it is still doing the thing that all foldable phones are going to do. And if you're looking to pick one up, you just have to figure out which one has the least amount of compromises to your regular standard device. For me, it would be this one. I could live with the battery and I could live with the smaller display and the subpar cameras, only because I have lived with that for a while. However, if I had to do it again, knowing what I know now, I would not buy this device because it's still the same compromises that I've always had. And to be honest with you, Samsung just has a lot better to offer. Granted, there's a lot of great phones that are coming out that are doing a lot of other things, but if you like One UI and you like the Samsung experience, mainly if you're a power user and a multitask type person, they have some of the best that do that. Now, if you're a big photo bug, shutter bug, and you like clean aesthetics and you like simple and you like less clutter and you don't use your phone but mostly to text and take pictures, scroll the social medias and all that kind of stuff, Pixel is probably your Android choice. Of course, if you're an iPhone person, you're an iPhone person. I am just kind of over the fact that I love foldables so much and we can't get the things that we've been asking for the past 6 years. Will I be just downright selling this phone and get rid of it? No. But I will tell you that between these two, one of these is going to get traded for an S25 Ultra and the other one may go towards me getting something else. I just can't recommend the Fold 6. I would recommend the Fold 5. I think that the 8 Gen 2, why it's not quite as fast and the looks aren't quite as good, I think the 8 Gen 2 was a better phone when it come to just being more efficient and getting a little bit better battery life out of it. I really think Samsung should grow the phone a little bit bigger. I think they could. I think they could give us a little bit more battery. I think they could go ahead and put the S Pen in there if you're going to give us that technology. If not, just take it away and be done with it. But we've got to get better battery. We've got to get better cameras on the Z Fold 7. I mean, you just got to. No one's going to buy it and keep it. You're not going to win the hearts of tech people over again. You're definitely not winning over the normal average day common user because they're getting this phone and they're going, I spent almost $2,000 on this. And they're keeping it, but they're not happy with it. I see them all the time. They're having issues with their inner screen and that screen protector peeling up, or they're not getting the best pictures or whatever, and it just is frustrating. we don't need to do it. We need better batteries, we need better cameras, we need more efficiency. And ultimately, I think Samsung has got to take a step forward, because in my opinion, I skipped a Fold last year. If I don't see much difference next year in this, I'll skip that one too. That's going to do it for me, guys. Maybe that's a bombshell for you. If it were me and you had to choose between this, the new Pixel, or the OnePlus Open, I'd probably get the Pixel because it's brand new. That's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.